Hi, I'm Tom Loucks, City of Wisconsin Rapids Multimedia Coordinator for Community Media. And today in the studio on Get to Know Your City, I have Paul Przybelski sitting right next to me. Thanks for coming, Paul.
Thanks for having me.
Alrighty. And he is the new city clerk. Took over a few months ago, and we're going to get to know him a bit better. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Paul. Why don't you tell everybody where you're from and how you got up to where you are today?
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Custer, Wisconsin, which is just east of Stevens Point. I basically grew up in Stevens Point. And then I attended college at UW Oshkosh. And I've been familiar with Wisconsin Rapids my whole life, from high school sports and just the general vicinity that Wood County and Portage County are bordering counties. But I went and I got a college degree in political science, and I was appointed clerk on May 17th of 2016 by the Common Council. So I've been clerk for just over 2 months now.
Alrighty, you joined us as our elections coordinator about a year ago, I believe, right? Somewhere in there?
Yeah, about 7 months.
Okay. Well, welcome to the city. How are you enjoying it so far?
I really enjoy working with the staff. They're good people. I've just enjoyed the role that I've been in. I'm challenged with different tasks all the time, so it consistently keeping me on my toes with doing different things. And staying busy always makes the days go by quick, and there's never enough time in the day to get done what I want to get done, because there's so many various projects that I'm working on that I'm always busy. But it's nice. It's a good busy.
Yeah, you're one of those that you want more time.
Right.
Always ends sooner than you want.
Sure.
Well, let's get to know you a bit better, what your position does and when your office is open and what people need to do when they come and see you, or if they want to see you. What is the clerk's office here for? So let's just kind of dissect the little things here first.
Okay.
Let's just talk about the clerk's office is open when, where it is, if people don't know, and maybe who's in that office as well.
Sure. Well, the clerk's office is located on the first floor of City Hall. We're right by the records department for the police department and the municipal court office. And if you walk into the main lobby of City Hall, you'll probably see our office first. Within that office is myself and the administrative assistant. I know that you just asked about reaching out if you wanted to meet with me. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. Our number for the clerk's office is the first number, or it's the number listed for City Hall. So that would be 421-8200. And so if you wanted to talk to me, you could call that number. You could find my email on the city's website, wirapids.org. But yeah, I'm always available, pending what you want to reach me for. I can accommodate your needs.
Alrighty. Well, if someone comes to visit the clerk's office for some reason, let's talk about some of the things that somebody would come to see you or your administrative assistant for some kind of record or some kind of agenda. I guess just tell me what people would stop at your office for.
Sure. There's various things that you would stop at the clerk's office for. Most commonly, people come in to either receive a new bartender's license or renew their bartender's license. We do beverage operator's license would be the correct terminology on that. We do liquor licensing, so if a business wants to serve or sell alcohol, we can license them. Tobacco licenses. We do voter registration and absentee ballot applications, and that's another big thing with the November election coming up here. We expect to have quite a bit of traffic. I hope as many people as possible will come in and register to vote at our office before the election, because it's really quick And if you have any questions about the election itself, I'd be happy to answer those, or my administrative assistant, Sue, would be happy to answer those for them. But yeah, voter registration, absentee applications for voting purposes, alcohol and tobacco licensing, and then one other thing that we provide if you come to our office is records. If you want any records of any previous city meeting, any council meeting, any sort of, you want to look up an ordinance or a resolution that the city has passed, you can come and do that at the clerk's office as well.
Alrighty. Well, this year is one big election coming up, November.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about elections. You just had a primary
Right.
Tuesday. We're taping this a little earlier than our viewing audience is probably seeing this at this moment. How did that election go? I guess I'd kind of like to know a little bit about that, and then
Sure.
what your role is during that day, and maybe even a little bit before. I know I see a lot of stuff happening even a week before.
Well, as the clerk, I would say the biggest part of my job is to administer elections. That takes a lot of time and effort to run elections. And this last Tuesday, we had the partisan primary. It went very well. The polling places ran very smooth by our chief election inspectors, which is like a supervisor at the polling place. The turnout was rather low across the state, but that was expected because there were very few contested races on the ballot to vote for. But my role on election day is generally in the morning. I show up in the morning, and before the polls open at 7 a.m., I'm at Meade School and Howe School before 7 a.m. setting up the machines which tabulate your ballots, or tabulate the voters' ballots. And when after that gets done, I actually am in my office throughout the day. I may stop back at each polling place. We have 3 polling places in Wisconsin Rapids, and I stop throughout the day periodically to check. But generally, my role is to be in the clerk's office to answer questions from voters who come into the window, or people who want to call the clerk's office to figure out what they're voting for or where they need to go to vote. So, yeah, my role's supposed to be generally in the office on election day, but I certainly do periodically check upon the polling places if they need various materials and whatnot.
Now, Paul, you work with volunteers, I believe, or paid staff.
They're paid.
They get paid. So are you always looking for people to help you on election days? I know as a voter, you go there, it's not just sitting there and people come in on their own. There's a whole staff at each school.
Absolutely.
That you have. So is that something you take care of and line up and make sure it's going and functioning well?
Sure. That's a big facet of election administration, is staffing the polling places. At each polling place, this past Tuesday, we had 15 paid workers. And as far as people interested in working at the polls, please come to the clerk's office, contact it in some way. We're always looking for more people because we get quite a bit of turnover. Some people work a few elections and they really like it and they want to work every election. Some people work an election, they realize it was a long day and they don't want to do it anymore. We're always looking for new election workers, and basically you can reach me by phone, email, come into the office. That's probably the most effective if you come in and talk to me face to face. But yeah, 15 staff members at each polling place. They're paid. We also pay them, we do a paid training prior to the election, and I'm trying to think of other hours that they might work. Some of the staff that I have as well for elections, they also do special voting at the nursing homes or the care facilities. So that involves going over and administering voting for care facility residents. And that's another way that you could be a paid employee for the city of Wisconsin Rapids when it comes to elections.
Well, over the years, even when I was a kid, the polling stations have changed the way
Sure.
they do things. And you have maybe a set of 10, 15, I guess it depends on the election and what you're putting out. It's kind of, it's made to be confidential. Is that correct? I mean, people don't get to see who's voting for what. It's kind of unique. You
Right.
see a lot of your pictures throughout the country in different polling places, but yours, are they stored here? Is that something you set up, or do you have your team help you set those up?
Oh, the actual physical setup of the
Yeah.
polling places? Well, I have one former city staff, David Hawks, who helps me set up the polling locations. And then I also get help from the street department because there's some equipment, the machine which the voter inserts their ballot into. That equipment's too large for a regular vehicle, so we need the street department to help us out on that. And I thank them; they do great work. I appreciate it. But yeah, the physical setup of the polling places occurs the day before, and it's a lot of work. There's a lot of detail that goes into elections, making sure you have the right things posted at the door that are in alignment with state law, and basically the Wisconsin, the state government, and then the federal government. There's a lot of regulations on elections to make sure that the secrecy of one's ballot is the integrity of one's ballot is. In Wisconsin, anyone can vote absentee. So that would mean the clerk's office, we prepare you a ballot, we send you a ballot and a self-addressed stamped envelope so you mark your ballot and then you send it back to the clerk's office. And we accept those ballots up to 3 days after the actual election if they are postmarked by election day. So we generally get some ballots after the election has occurred, but the person mailed them on election day or the day prior. And so those ballots need to be counted. And on the Friday after each election, so elections are generally on Tuesdays, on the Friday after we have something called the Municipal Board of Canvass, where myself and then 3 other city staff get together and we tabulate the votes of those late arriving absentees. And then we deliver those results to the county clerk to factor into the actual election results. And, you know, oftentimes we get just a few absentee ballots back, but even a small amount of absentee ballots and votes can change election results sometimes, especially when it comes to county races and city races. They can be very tightly contested races. So we need to make sure that those votes get counted and that we follow the rules of the Wisconsin Elections Commission that they established for us.
Do you have a record of those who want a ballot sent out? So if you don't receive it, it's not a big deal, is that way? But you do have to wait, you kind of know who maybe it was sent to? Or is it just you send it out randomly like a letter? And if it comes back, it doesn't, no big deal, right?
Absentee ballots?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we have a log of absentee ballots. You can apply for an absentee ballot for one specific election. Like if you wanted to apply for an absentee ballot today, you could apply for just the November general election. You can apply for a calendar year's worth of ballots. So that would be, you know, this year we've had 4 elections, but if you applied for calendar year absentee ballot, at this point you'd only get November. Or you can apply to receive absentee ballots permanently. However, when you sign that application, if you decide to check permanently, you are certifying to the state of Wisconsin that you are indefinitely confined due to age, illness, or infirmity. So I encourage those who don't have great availability on the days that the polls are open, or people who just don't want to go in and deal with lines to apply for absentee ballots. It's a really easy way to vote. However, if you do not send your absentee ballot back, we will take you off the list. So even if it's a small election like Tuesday's was, you still just need to send back your ballot. It doesn't matter if you voted it or not, as long as you send it back. Then we will continue to give you absentee ballots.
All right. What happens to all the ballots that you have? Are they ground up, or are they stored somewhere?
Well, all the election day ballots that get run through the machine, we seal them in a bag that has a tamper evidence seal on it, and we deliver those to the county clerk. And they keep those ballots as record for, I believe, 4 years, and then after that they're confidentially destroyed in a truck that actually incinerates them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was always wondering. There's no way you're going to be able to keep ballots from the 1900s.
No.
You'd need semi-loads.
No. Yeah, we keep them as record for, I believe it's 4 years, and then we get rid of them.
Do you see, with all the electronics nowadays, iPads, I'm holding one, do you see voting ever taking place via computer, like at your home down the road?
Yes. I mean, I can't predict the future of elections just because it's a state and federal issue, but there's already some online voting that's occurring. Online voting in Wisconsin is brand new, and it's only available to members of the military because they may be stationed somewhere elsewhere throughout the world where they can, but now they have the ability to open a laptop and vote a ballot. But it's online voting right now is only available to military and those who are living permanently overseas. So someone who's a citizen of Wisconsin who may be in, AmeriCorps or something like that, or teaching in a different country. So it's already started, but I think the bigger, better trend would be online voter registration, and that is supposed to start in Wisconsin in 2017. And so voter registration is just, if you're not registered before Election Day, it might take some time inside the polling place to get registered, 5, 10, 20 minutes, depending on if there's a line or not. And registration, if you come into the clerk's office, or you can do it online in 2017, it'll take you 5 minutes. Like, it's pretty easy, straightforward process. So
yeah, you would think it would save some time as well as money.
Sure.
Just a thought I think would benefit smaller cities, budgets.
Absolutely. A lot of paper costs involved too.
Exactly. This is the last year that our polling places are going to take place in our two local schools, Mead and Howe, I believe.
Mead, Howe, and Grove. We have 3.
Okay, so we have 3.
Yep.
They're actually all at schools.
Yes, they're all at Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools.
So what's going to happen with that in 2017? Not the fall election. That's in the normal place.
Not November.
Not November. That's a big one.
November, you will continue to go to your elementary school, either Mead, Howe, or Grove, and vote there if you're a resident of the city of Wisconsin Rapids. However, in 2017, we will be moving our polling places from the schools to new locations, which have yet to be finalized.
Okay. All right. Well, as soon as we get the word from your office, as well as probably the mayor's office, and probably a council thing, I wonder if that has to be agreed upon.
We have to pass. The council has to pass resolutions which state where the new polling places will be.
Alrighty. So, as soon as we find that out, we'll bring it to you, or maybe when you're watching a common council meeting, that'll decide that at that point.
Absolutely.
And time. So, let's talk about a few other things that happen with your position as city clerk.
Sure.
outside of election time.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's quite a bit of traffic every day. You're kind of the first office that people stop at
Yes.
and ask directions to, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of questions, just general inquiries of people coming into City Hall and just wondering which office they should go to, which is fine with us. We'd gladly tell you where to go. So
Yeah, and it helps. And you're the main number,
Mm-hmm.
so your assistant would be able to take those calls and now feed those to the appropriate person. Is that right?
yes, and if we don't pick up, there's also a phone tree that you will be directed to in case you know which extension or which department that you want to reach.
And now that's new because we do have a new phone system, maybe a little different than the past, right?
Yep, that's brand new. I believe our new phone system was put in place in May. So, yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about resolutions.
Sure.
I want to know a little bit more about what those are and
Okay.
your responsibilities. I know they're a little bit changing. I don't know if changing, but things that you're going to be doing differently at a common council meeting. I noticed that at not the last, I think the last were the ones before, that you will be reading some different things instead of the mayor. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely going to take over a little bit of the communication at the council meeting, not all of it, but it's kind of the role of the clerk to bring up the various agenda items at the meeting and talk about, and then also release the results once the common council votes. Then I will vocally tell you how they voted. Generally 8 ayes, 0 nays for most agenda items, but not all. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more at the Common Council meetings, just kind of facilitating the meeting. And then you also talked about resolutions.
Yeah, I'm curious let's talk about what a resolution is.
Sure.
We do see those from time to time.
Sure.
Every city does this a little bit differently. Let's talk about when we use a resolution. What does that mean?
Okay. Well, a resolution is generally an agreement the city makes. It can be an agreement on a contract or services or something like that with an outside entity, or it can be within the city itself. But yeah, it's some sort of binding agreement that we have that needs to be passed by common council vote. So a few previous resolutions were the most recent one I can think of is we had a large note sale, which is it's a finance department issue, and we sold a lot of notes in order to do some city projects. And this requires us passing a resolution to sell these notes. And so that's an agreement with an outside entity to do something. But once resolutions are passed by the Common Council, they're all signed by the mayor and myself, and they're put on file in my office. And that's another thing that if you're a citizen of Wisconsin Rapids, you can come in and you can ask for to see a resolution if you're interested in something, or we can even make you a copy if you want. So.
Well, your office also handles all the agendas, minutes, records, agendas and minutes. A lot of people want to know when a meeting is going to take place, what's going to be said at the meeting.
Sure.
That is going to be on the agenda, and your office actually releases those agendas, isn't I right?
Right. And it's important that the public knows when we have our meetings, so we have to notice our meetings with an agenda. And the agendas are always posted on the bulletin board at City Hall, and they're found on our website, wirapids.org. Yeah, agenda just spells out what's going to happen at the meeting. So when you go to the meeting, you can tell what business is going to occur that night. Minutes, on the other hand, they look like an agenda, but minutes is a report of the actions that we're taking at the meeting based on the agenda items. So if there were agenda items that required a vote, the minutes would be a record of that vote and how the various committees, commissions, and boards voted on an issue, or what action they decided to take. If they decided to take an agenda item and hold off on voting until next month because they wanted to discuss more things, or if they wanted to just altogether not vote on the item and just get rid of it, they can do that as well. So.
Already, I know your office even puts together the Common Council agenda. Some of the
Yes.
other offices do some of their own, maybe like HR and finances.
Yep.
But they travel through you as the final leg of the process.
Right. Right.
Okay, so there's a lot of people proofing, probably the mayor, probably the city attorney, as well as that department head. So it's not just done by one person and out it goes.
No, it's a collaborative effort coming up with these agendas because certain departments, individuals from the community, even citizens, they can have referrals to various committees, such as like finance and property gets a lot of referrals. You know, if somebody wants to open a new business that requires a liquor license, they have to go through the Finance and Property Committee, and that comes from my department. If there's the audit of the bills on the Finance and Property Committee meeting, that comes from the Finance Department. The bills come from the Finance Department. So yeah, it's a real collaborative effort and getting the agendas out there, but we just want to make sure that everything that needs to be addressed that month in regards to finance and property is on the agenda and correctly spelled out.
Let's talk just a little bit about referrals. I'll see if you can answer this. If somebody wants something done, a citizen or resident, I should say,
Sure.
in the community, they can't just come to a meeting and start talking about it.
Right.
Proper.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do? Do they go to their alderperson? Do they go to you? I don't like something like a traffic light or a light that's shining
Sure.
in my room. You know, who do they contact?
Right. That's a very good question because sometimes we receive people come into the office, the clerk's office, and they want to talk to me about various city issues, and sometimes they don't pertain to me specifically. And if you wanted to, if you had an issue that involved, you know, some sort of property in the city, you know, then you would address your alderperson, and that's a great way that I can connect with citizens. Is if they want to know who their alderperson is, I'd be happy to give them that information. And but if you want to make a referral, you would have to do so through an alderperson. And you could talk to your alderperson, and generally they are willing to accommodate, and they want to see issues that citizens are concerned with come to these various committees and ultimately come to the Common Council for votes.
So the best way is to do that before the meeting would actually take place. Plus, there's
Yes.
deadlines. You can't just bring it the day before the meeting because
Right.
There's a time that you have to legally have that notice out. Is that right? 72 hours, 48 hours? I'm not
48 hours before the meeting.
Okay. So if it's 24 hours before the meeting, then technically, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a good point just to raise, because the standing council committees, those are public committees for the city. Those committees, which is Human Resources, Finance and Property, and Public Works, all occur on the first Tuesday of the month, and then Common Council occurs on the third Tuesday of the month. So if you have if you want to talk to your alderman about something that should be on the Finance and Property Committee, you should do so well before the first Tuesday of the month. You should be thinking about that so we can get that on there.
And that happens a lot at the end of the agenda of our Common Council meeting. Are there any referrals?
Right.
I believe the mayor may ask that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the time the alderperson would bring up that referral from that individual, and then it would be sent to a certain committee that they feel it needs to go to.
Sure.
That's how that works, I would
Yeah.
assume. So it's not going to go right to the council right away. It's going to go to a committee or a commission or a board.
Right.
And then it's going to travel from there to the appropriate place.
Absolutely. There's a structure to it. Generally, ideas or issues or whatnot, they come to a committee first, or a committee, a commission, or a board first. And then that's sort of a preliminary approval. And then the report of that meeting and its various approvals or denials of agenda items in that meeting, the report of that meeting goes to the Common Council, and they can accept that report. They can vote to put that record on file, and that's kind of your secondary approval there, and that's the final approval.
Well, there's a lot to do as city clerk, a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
Hopefully, our discussion will help any questions. I guess if they have questions in regards to maybe some of the issues we talked about, or you have questions as a viewing audience here, give your office a call. Your assistant or yourself can help direct that.
Absolutely.
And easy as that. You're open Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30. And we're very open to talking to the public. So anytime you want to reach out to us via call, or you want to come into the window and talk to us, or if you want to email us, please
Get
do
back
so.
to All right. Anything else, Paul, that you want to talk about since you took over in May? City Clerk, I just wanted to get to know you a little bit more.
I'm enjoying my time in the community so far here. Like I said, I grew up pretty close, so it wasn't a big change for me moving over here. Most of my friends and family live pretty close to here. So yeah, I've really enjoyed the community so far. People have been great to me, and I look forward to continuing to serve the public here in Wisconsin Rapids.
All right. Thanks again for watching us on Community Media for Get to Know Your City. I'm Tom Loucks, the multimedia coordinator for this office. Thanks again for watching.